So this is a kit question, Maddy Company. Maddy is a fast food chain which operates restaurants in several locations. It was established by the current board members who are all shareholders when they opened the first Maddy restaurant in 2002. The restaurant quickly gained a good reputation through positive customer reviews on social media for the quality and the price of food, for its customer service, and for cleanliness. Since then, Maddy has grown quickly. By August 2005, it had opened another 12 restaurants under the Maddy brand with the same overall business model, product range, and look and feel as the original restaurant. Maddy's overall objective is to maximize shareholder wealth. ठीक है, कंपनी का ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है? Maximize shareholder wealth. To achieve this overall objective, Maddy has two supporting aims: increase the number of restaurants. Maddy has ambitious growth objectives to increase the number of restaurants, including franchisees. Though Maddy is a successful business, the lack of available finance has meant that the rate of opening its own new restaurants has recently slowed. To achieve like for like revenue growth of at least 15% each year. ठीक है, the board believes that a key factor in achieving this is for Maddy to achieve industry leading performance across a range of factors relating to quality of service. ठीक है, यहाँ पे क्या है? Achieve industry leading performance across a range of factors relating to quality of service. एक है increase the number of restaurants. Second one is industry leading performance in quality of service. What is like for like revenue growth? Like for like revenue growth is that achieved by means other than the growth due to opening of new restaurants and excludes growth from the one-off events which may distort the measurement of performance. ठीक है? So what they are saying is growth achieved by means other than the growth due to opening of new restaurants. So existing restaurants say whatever you are getting, you are basically talking about that. ठीक है? Growth due to achieved by means other than the growth due to opening of new restaurants and excludes growth from other one-off events. In order to help achieve its overall objective, Maddy has recently established 8 franchisees. ठीक है, consistent with the first supporting aim to increase the number of restaurants, including franchisees. One of the franchisee restaurants is located in the neighboring country where Maddy brand is not widely recognized. Neighboring country. Each franchisee is owned and managed by a franchisee and is operated as a business which is totally separate from Maddy. The franchisee pays franchisee fees to Maddy and in return is able to trade under the Maddy brand. All food items, cooking equipment, fixtures and fittings and marketing materials are provided to the franchisee by Maddy to the extent that from the customer's point of view, a franchisee restaurant is indistinguishable from one owned by Maddy. The franchisee fees paid by the franchisee to Maddy have two elements. A one-off setup fee which varies in amount according to the size of a new franchisee. This covers the cost of fixtures, fittings, and equipment, as well as staff training and the initial marketing of a new restaurant in the local press and online using social media and pay-per-click advertising. ठीक है, यहाँ पे क्या है? फ्रेंचाइजी फीस वन ऑफ setup fee, which varies in amount according to the size of a new franchisee. This covers the cost of fixtures, fittings, as well as staff training and initial marketing of the new restaurant. Using social media and pay-per-click advertising, for some of the new franchisees, the setup costs incurred by Maddy have exceeded the setup fee agreed with the franchisee, and the board is keen to ensure that this does not happen in the future. An ongoing fee of 10% of franchisees' revenue is paid to Maddy in return for provision of an extensive IT infrastructure, continuing IT and marketing support, and license to trade under the Maddy brand. ठीक है, एक है वन ऑफ फी है सेटअप फी, एक है आपका ऑनगोइंग फी ऑफ 10% of the franchisee's revenue is paid to Maddy. All food items must be purchased by the franchisee from Maddy, and the cost of these are additional to the franchisee fees. ठीक है. Then performance reporting. Before Maddy continues with the next phase of its growth plans, the board has asked you for advice relating to the performance reporting at Maddy. The board wants you to evaluate whether the current performance report, which it uses on a quarterly basis, is fit for purpose. The board has instructed that you are not required to evaluate the performance of any aspect of Maddy's business. आपको पूछा क्या है? The board wants you to evaluate whether the current performance report is fit for the purpose. ठीक है. मैडी का पर्पस, मैडी का ऑब्जेक्टिव इज गिवन टू यू. दे आर नॉट आस्किंग यू टू चेक द परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ द कंपनी. दे आर आस्किंग यू, इज द परफॉर्मेंस रिपोर्ट फिट? देयर इज अ डिफरेंस. ठीक है. वेदर करंट परफॉर्मेंस रिपोर्ट इज फिट फॉर द पर्पस, ये क्वेश्चन है. ठीक है. मिनिमम परफॉर्मेंस लेवल्स. All franchisees are subject to minimum performance levels set by Maddy across a range of financial and qualitative measures. If a franchisee fails to meet these levels, a board member will visit the franchisee to help support them to improve performance. Continued failure could lead to termination of the franchisee. Maddy has only recently started to collect data relating to cleanliness of the franchisee restaurants. Cleanliness is one measure subject to minimum performance levels and is measured using customer surveys. ठीक है. Customers fill out a paper form giving just one overall score between 1 and 5 for cleanliness and some other aspects of quality of service, and place these in a box in exchange for a chance to win a free meal. The franchisee collates these responses onto a spreadsheet at the end of each quarter and sends a summary of the results to Maddy for inclusion in the next performance report. ठीक है. The work the board requires on this area is in two parts. The board would like you to explain the difficulties in interpreting data about cleanliness. पूछा क्या है आपको? पूछा है difficulties in interpreting data about cleanliness, and advise it on the problems there may be with the data on cleanliness received from the franchisee. ठीक है. Advise it on problems with the data received from franchisee. The board has then asked you to recommend and evaluate possible alternative methods to assess the area of cleanliness. ठीक है. ट्रांसफर प्राइसिंग प्रपोजल है जो सेपरेट है completely. Here, for the first performance reporting, you have to look at the report in Appendix 1. ठीक है. This is your performance report of Maddy Company. Current year के 4 quarter, Q1, Q2, Q3, and year to date of 2005 they have given you. Then 2002, 3, 4 they have given you. Cost of sales में staff cost, ingredient, consumable, cleaning product, total cost of sale. रेवेन्यू का स्प्लिट दिया है, टोटल फ्रेंचाइजी फीस एंड सेल ऑफ इंग्रेडिएंट्स, टोटल रेवेन्यू फ्रॉम फ्रेंचाइजी रेस्टोरेंट्स, total cost of sales GP. Franchisee fees and income from sale of ingredients is payable to Maddy from franchisees. Cost incurred by Maddy of providing ingredients and setup and ongoing cost to franchisees. Whole company, ये क्या है? रेवेन्यू एंड कॉस्ट ऑफ सेल दिया है, ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट, रिटर्न ऑन कैपिटल एम्प्लॉयड, मैडी ओन्ड रेस्टोरेंट्स, फ्रेंचाइजीज, नॉन फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस. ठीक है. क्लेanलीनेस, फूड डिलीवरी टाइम पे रेटिंग है. This is the data that is given to you. Now, the first part that they have asked you is, they have asked you, is this performance report sufficient? ठीक है. Is it serving the purpose for which it is made? Now, when you look at this data, the first thing that comes to that should come to your mind is that a performance report is fit only if it aligns with the organizational objectives. Main objective is maximization of shareholder wealth. Uske under दो, they have broken it down into two parts. Then measures achievement against stated targets. Supports, it should support strategic decision making, and it should highlight drivers of future performance. So take a minute, I'll just fetch some water, and you have to tell me whether it aligns with the main objective. Is it helping you to understand whether there has been an increase in shareholder wealth? ठीक है. Increase in the number of restaurants, लाइक फॉर लाइक रेवेन्यू ग्रोथ बाय फोकसिंग ऑन क्वालिटी ऑफ सर्विस। 14 मार्क्स का सब पार्ट है। ठीक है, यू हैव टू आंसर दिस इन डिटेल। यहाँ पे यू हैव टू टेल वेदर और the performance report, first of all, is enough or adequate for the purpose for which it was made. तो वो एंगल से आपको चेक करना है। प्राइमरी ऑब्जेक्टिव एंड देन द टू सब ऑब्जेक्टिव्स यू हैव टू स्पीक अबाउट द सपोर्टिंग ऑब्जेक्टिव्स। देन सी वेदर इट फोकसेस ऑन फाइनेंशियल एंड नॉन फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस मेजर्स बोथ। ठीक है। सी वेदर टू मच डेटा इज एग्रीगेटेड और यू हैव टू मच डिसएग्रीगेशन। ओवर टू मच ऑफ अ डिटेल विल बी अ प्रॉब्लम। टू लेस ऑफ डिटेल विल ऑल्सो बी अ प्रॉब्लम। ठीक है। एंड मतलब इज इट सुटेबल फॉर गिविंग इट टू द बोर्ड? ओके, प्रेजेंटेशन के एंगल से भी आपको एक बार देखना पड़ेगा। ठीक है। सो टेक अ मिनट टिल आई गेट सम वाटर एंड टेल मी वेदर द रिपोर्ट, you have the report copy with you, you have the exam kit also with you. Look at it and evaluate it from these matters, then let's discuss it together. ठीक है, प्लीज स्टार्ट। ठीक है। लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड नाउ वन बाय वन। नाउ यहाँ पे फर्स्ट ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ द कंपनी इज मैक्सिमाइजेशन ऑफ शेयर होल्डर वेल्थ। सी इफ any measure for shareholder wealth is included here. In the report, do you have any measure for determining about shareholder wealth? कुछ भी दिया है आपको? See, you have return on capital employed, okay, but return on capital,
ROC to sir.
it's to a certain extent it does, but
No,
not very strongly, right? So all of these are accounting approaches that they have done. They speak about profits generated, not value creation. The best approach would have been showing economic value added, है ना? It analyzes only till gross profit level. It does not speak about operating cost. You cannot, यहाँ पे operating profit कहीं पे दिया है? You don't have details on operating costs anywhere, right? So सिर्फ gross profit level तक analysis है, उसके आगे there is no analysis. So not aligned with primary strategic objective. Second objective is growth targets with respect to number of restaurants, है ना? So number of restaurants दिया है यहाँ पे 1, 2, 12, 13, 0, 0, 2, 8. What do you want to say about it? There is a, first of all, they haven't mentioned any targets. They have just mentioned कि पहले इतना था अभी इतना है. That is all they have told you. They have not mentioned targets anywhere. So there is no target comparison. There are no growth percentages included, right? And they are asking also for a 15% like for like revenue growth. Now, what they are saying is like for like revenue growth कब होगा? Where that growth is not related to opening of new restaurants, point one, and it is not even related to one-off events. Now, in this data, do you have any information which talks about कि यार ये revenue का split कैसा है between revenue from new restaurants, revenue from existing restaurants? That they haven't done anywhere, है ना? वो डेटा कहीं पर भी नहीं है। ठीक है। देन
yes.
15% टारगेट के साथ कोई कंपैरिजन नहीं है। नो कंपैरिजन विद प्रायर ईयर ऑल्सो। So supporting targets, supporting aims, I also don't see those happening anywhere. ठीक है. Now, if you observe this part, minimum performance levels. One was about a range of financial and qualitative measures. What have they identified here as key non-financial performance indicators? यहाँ पे they have spoken about cleanliness and yeah, you have two data points, cleanliness and food delivery time. But that's all, na? They have included cleanliness and food delivery time, but they haven't really, you know, only two measures, right? They do not cover the full customer service experience. So that is missing. Then no
Also,
benchmarking.
cleanliness or these other aspects are subjective in nature. They
Yeah,
vary customer to customer. So there could be a possibility that customer would, since they are giving free meal or something to that sort of, customer might give a generic review for it.
quite possible. So it doesn't really, because A, it is subjective and they haven't really defined any parameters, right?
Yes.
Then, so वो भी है. Also, you don't have any benchmarking with industry performance. It is difficult to obtain competitor data. तो वो भी एक challenge है. ठीक है. Then any other objective that you have with respect to franchisees or anything that you want to comment on? और क्या इंफॉर्मेशन है यहाँ पर? So there are setup costs and then there are fees with respect to franchisee. Have they shown the split between setup costs and overall fees, मतलब regular fees that you receive? सिर्फ टोटल दिया है ना, टोटल फ्रेंचाइजी फीस. They haven't done that breakup. And ideally, you would have wanted that information. है ना? You would have wanted information on the split between the one-time setup cost and the regular fees that you collect from the franchisees. Correct? आगे, you don't have the split of the non-financial data between owned restaurants and franchisee restaurants. एक तो non-financial data भी जो है ना, that is just given as two lines, that's all, nothing else, और कुछ भी नहीं दिया है. So that is pretty limited. Then there is one franchisee which is located in the neighboring country. You have no information about that. You haven't done segment-wise reporting, which could have been very, very useful, but you haven't done that. Then the report mostly contains financial data. Financial measures are backward looking, right? And they are historic in nature. You have not considered drivers of future performance. You have not considered non-financial performance indicators in depth. ठीक है. Again, in terms of financial position, मतलब financial information also, you haven't really spoken about liquidity, gearing, other financial position indicators. Correct. So
Also, sir, this is the basic accounting statement or the basic stuff that we make, and this is not useful while making decisions or planning strategy. So this is very basic level of information that we are providing in the report.
very true. Also, too much detail, but not summarized in the right way.
Hmm.
है ना? उसका कॉस्ट ऑफ सेल्स फॉर क्लीनिंग प्रोडक्ट्स वगैरह दिया है आपको, है ना? अब उसका क्या मतलब, दिस इंफॉर्मेशन is pretty pointless ना. उसको you could have aggregated that information. ठीक है. Data can be used for trend analysis, but there is no commentary on trends. No commentary. Check करो एक बार, look at the GP ratios. 43, 42 ये सब है, but suddenly in this year it had dropped down to 30. There is no explanation about that. कि ये कम क्यों हुआ था। ठीक है। नो ग्राफिकल प्रेजेंटेशन, इट्स वेरी डिटेल्ड, द बोर्ड माइट नॉट हैव टाइम फॉर गोइंग इनटू दिस लेवल ऑफ डिटेल। And
Color pattern can be used to denote if it is increasing order or decreasing order. So there is a decrease of 30% as you mentioned in 2014. So that could be shown in different color or highlighted something to catch attention.
इधर ग्राफिकल और विजुअल और पिक्टोरियल कुछ तो होना चाहिए ना, बट दैट इजंट रियली देयर, so it fails on all of those fronts. Any other aspect that you feel the report is not able to fulfill? टेल मी, और कोई पॉइंट है आपके दिमाग में? नो? चलो, let's have a look at the points that I have put together based on uh, the discussion. ठीक है, स्टार्ट। वही सब पॉइंट्स है, नथिंग न्यू, जस्ट पुट टुगेदर इन वन प्लेस।
So can you scroll up?
श्योर।
Yes, sir. Can you scroll? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
like, can we write like this in exam?
No, no, you
Uh,
have to write full sentences.
no, I'm saying I'm not talking about the bullet points. I'm talking about the headings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like we just identify the weaknesses or the discrepancies, whatever this it is, and then we write the heading and then we explain it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is perfectly fine. There's no problem there.
Yeah, because in the report, like in the model answer, it no heading is mentioned. Like they have given a full paragraph,
Mm-hmm.
so we can write it like that
Yeah,
also.
yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's completely acceptable. That's never a problem.
Okay. Yeah, because I saw in one examiner report that they have written that in APM you can't write like bullet points. Because bullet points only show mostly shows conclusions. So you
Mhm.
have to show write in paragraph or in a descriptive manner. So
See, the heading has to be there. Okay.
yeah,
Missing financial position information. You can't
yes,
just write this. Report does not include one, two, three, four. It has to be like a full sentence.
yes, that's what I was asking. Like
It has to
we
be a
just
full
write the
sentence.
heading and then we explain.
That is acceptable. उसमें कोई इशू नहीं है.
Oh, thank you.
ठीक है.
Yes, sir. Done.
ठीक है. लास्ट पॉइंट ओवरऑल कंक्लूजन देख लो एक बार. ठीक है. ओके.
Yes.
नाउ वील मूव ऑन टू पार्ट बी. पार्ट बी में क्या था? परफॉर्मेंस रिपोर्टिंग जो 14 मार्क का रिक्वायरमेंट था, दैट वाज बेसिकली अबाउट evaluate whether the current performance report which it uses on a quarterly basis is fit for purpose. The board has instructed that you are not required to evaluate the performance of any aspect of Maddy's business. तो ये पार्ट अपना हो गया. You evaluated whether the current performance report is fair or not. Is it presented in the right manner? Does it fulfill the objective with which it is prepared? ठीक है. Now look at the next point, which is the board wants you to explain the difficulties in interpreting data about cleanliness and advise it on the problems there may be with the data on cleanliness received from franchisees. The board has asked you to recommend and evaluate possible alternative methods to assess the area of cleanliness. In the second part, I think you can apply, you will have to apply your mind. थोड़ा सा यहाँ पे, एक creative element can be, inserted in the answer. But tell me, what is the biggest problem with evaluating data on cleanliness? क्या problem हो सकता है? Parth, I think you had started off with that answer. Can you elaborate a little?
So yes, cleanliness or those type of issues or type of things uh, are more of subjective sort of things. So they depend on perception that each person has about it. So as
Hmm.
the perception changes person to person, the ratings or whatever we use it in in feedback form or any of the kind of thing, it changes person to person. So it is not very easy to analyze and interpret the same in a tabular format or in a numerical format. And
Okay.
also it links with, and as we have linked it with some free stuff or any incentive that people will be getting, it is more
Hmm.
like it is tend to, we have seen, or in normal scenario also we know that we tend to give a good feedback or a give correct number so as to not show us ourselves in a bad position to the third person. So not necessarily those score can be of true nature. So if there is some anonymity to attach to it, we can give correct and right opinion and right scores to it.
Fair enough. I think, okay, that's a good point. Now, can you tell me something about the score? Okay, so there's a score of 1 to 5 that you are attaching here, which I understand. But is it just one single rating of 1 to 5, or have they given you or have they given you like multiple questions on which you have to rate? So what would you say about that? Multiple points है कि बस एक ही चीज पे they are asking you to just one rating.
So technically, if we see in this part, it is talking about cleanliness. So
Hmm.
uske for that we can have one thing that we can give different pointers or different parameters on which they rate us. So we can collate some data and prepare more about it rather
Or
than just preparing one thing.
when you have just one rating, कि, okay, is the if you remember in another organization where you must have attended my lectures, so they would ask, okay, how would you rate today's lecture? And then they would say, how would you rate the speed of today's lecture? How would you rate the approachability of faculty? How would you rate the level of doubt resolution, right? तो ऐसा एक उनका statement था मतलब they would not just
Questionnaire
rate.
sort of.
हाँ, they would not just say rate today's session. They
Hmm.
would say कि ये सारे parameters पे भी rate करो, right? So that when you get that understanding, you know better कि यार if the student did not like the lecture, just saying that oh I didn't like this is not helping the company solve any problem, ना. Ideally, what you should be doing is you should be asking them कि ठीक है you didn't like, but then what are the parameters on the basis of which you are saying कि ये पसंद आया कि नहीं आया. Also, there has to be some when you also fill any feedback form वहाँ पे ऐसे होता है ना कि you did not like this particular food item because portion was small, quantity was small, blah blah blah, and then they write any other. So that any other might also help you to get information which you have not actually predicted, right? I mean, you think that people are happy or unhappy by looking at the quality of food, but they might also be interested in the quantity of food if that is the rating that we are using. So when you are looking at this kind of data, just one question might not be enough to help you frame the right response here, and it will not also be an appropriate measure to judge the cleanliness वाला aspect. ठीक है. So again, that is another challenge that I can foresee when it comes to the data rating that we are looking at. ठीक है. Now let's understand, is it like, is it possible that rating is about cleanliness, but the customers are, see, customers when they are filling, it's not as if they are appearing for some college exam, na, so they will not think so much ki, oh, the reason I'm giving you a lower rating is because the cleanliness was not up to the point. Sometimes it might happen that the cleanliness parameter is all okay. Issue ये था कि the food quality was not good. So that frustration you vented out here. So I think that can also be a problem why this cannot be considered as the right judgment to decide whether it is working on the cleanliness front or not. Do you agree that at some level, now see, this is information that we are collating on the basis of what we have studied in the individual chapters. Don't you think there is a possibility that people will end up giving a rating on the basis of their past experience also? है ना. It might not necessarily be during current visit. It the situation might be कि past में there was lack of cleanliness. Now they have improved, but in your mind you are like, you have not even checked how clean is it right now. You have just passed a final verdict कि नहीं भाई, this is not up to the mark.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
they have not explicitly asked about the cleanliness. They have just asked one question, like, "Are you overall satisfied?"
Mm-hmm.
And if they have a target, like if they have a target to achieve the certain level of cleanliness, then they should be asking it explicitly to do the
Correct.
justice.
Correct.
Otherwise, it is very easy to manipulate. Suppose if the staff is friendly, and if the customer is satisfied with the food quality only, we don't see cleanliness explicitly in the restaurant. If the food quality is good, we just go by it. Like I do, if I'm going in any restaurant, if the food quality is good, I don't talk about cleanliness. That's it.
True. I mean, you might eat at a roadside joint, which might not be
Yes.
the most hygienic one, but the food is good, right? So
Yeah.
it's very difficult to separate what works and what doesn't work. And people will not necessarily think about all these points when they are answering these questions.
Never. Like cleanliness is people will never think about cleanliness if they are asked to rate the service.
True,
Or they will just think about the food quality, and somewhat they will think that if the staff was good, the staff behavior was good or not.
true,
But mostly it will be on the price basis, if it is economical or not, and if the food is good or not. Like
correct.
we can come
There's
again or
also
not.
a big chance that, there could be a bias, as Parth mentioned, कि यार, there is that incentive for free meal. So you
Yes.
might just end up giving a good score that will reduce the reliability of data. ठीक है. Then again, there is no reason to explain the cause of poor rating. One issue that often happens with ratings is, and I'm sure you might have experienced it, कि किसी को रेटिंग देना है 1 2 3 4 5, आप 3 देके आगे निकलते. The mid one, right? The average
बुरा
one.
भी ना लिखे, बहुत
Yes.
अच्छा
When
भी
we
ना
are in a
लिखे.
hurry.
हाँ, exactly. Because I don't know. We just don't want to. We have an emotional core which says कि if I give a rating of honor, इसका career खराब हो जाएगा. If we give a rating of 5, yeah, this is not worth 5. So whatever it is.
Especially with those gig workers or those staff, because we know they also go through a lot, so we don't want to endure those things.
Like, when these Zomato delivery guys, they say, अरे rating
Yes,
दो, rating दो. Like, अरे हाँ यार, 3 का ले और आगे निकल. We won't really pay attention.
yeah.
Then we really don't have any information right now. In So interpretation related, we don't know a lot, right? I mean, we are not very clear on how to interpret the data. I think we need more parameters when it comes to collecting the data on cleanliness. They had asked us difficulties in interpreting data, which we said. Problems that you may face with the data on cleanliness received from franchisees. What do you think would be recorded here? So see, how is the franchisee collating the data? Is it mentioned anywhere? इधर देखो.
The franchisee collates these responses onto a spreadsheet at the end of each quarter. सो मे बी तब तक टाइम भी चला जाएगा क्वार्टर एंड तक, जो अगर जनवरी में कंप्लेंट किया रहेगा, मार्च एंड तक कुछ अलग चीज भी हुआ रहेगा.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
सो मोर क्विकर collation is required if in a FMCG industry.
Mm-hmm. Then what else?
I mean, if customers are not happy, if they have given a bad rating, then the restaurant should give them the option to explain, like on
Mm-hmm.
what area did you not like. Because just on a scale of 1 to 5, you're asking the customer to rate it, and if customer
Mm-hmm.
is rating it as 1, but he doesn't have any chance to explain what went wrong, then how will the
But now we have
restaurant?
moved from that question and now we are in a different question. What I am asking right now is what is, or what they are asking, not what I am asking. Their question is ki, is there an impact of, I mean, when the data is coming in from the franchisee, what are the problems with that data, right?
There could be a problem or issue of data loss while coming from franchisee to franchisee.
And how are
There
they
might be
putting
a
in the data? They are putting in the data onto a spreadsheet, right? Is the spreadsheet locked?
hmm,
We don't know whether the matlab, data manipulation is,
encryption है कि नहीं है, हाँ.
we don't know about that right now. That information is not there. So there could be input errors, there could be formula errors. I mean, you are working professionals, you know how it works. One small mistake and you will spend the entire your remaining life trying to find out that error in a big spreadsheet, right? Data may be inaccurate. Plus, spreadsheet mein manipulation is very easy, right? See, the franchisee also knows that if certain basic standards of cleanliness are not maintained, there is a very high possibility that the franchisee agreement might get terminated, right?
Hmm.
So they might not, they themselves might manipulate the data before sending it to the head office. It's not as if at the franchisee somebody is scanning the QR code and giving the feedback. Feedback is getting collected in spreadsheet, so they can always manipulate that, right? There could be, see, right now the data, what is the frequency of this data exchange?
Quarterly.
Quarterly. ठीक है. Now, if there is a quarterly data exchange that is happening, then don't you think it's for something like cleanliness? It's a very big gap, है ना? So,
Yes.
and the issue might have happened in Jan. You are telling that at the end of March. So, what preventive or corrective measures can you do it at this point, right? I mean, jo damage है that to has already occurred now if you're looking at it after a quarter. So that timeliness of data appears to be a problem. Plus, in today's day and age, I think it's so scary कि a social media post can destroy your entire career, right? I
एक
mean,
शाम में अगर किसी ने रिव्यू डाल दिया तो अगले दिन से होटल बंद.
haha, and all of us who are unfortunately in the performance wala space, na, where our performance and us, we are judged on a daily basis. Every minute that we are in front of the camera, we are judged. So, uh, naturally, these days, I mean, I am so scared. And this was not the case earlier. Maybe 2 years ago, I would go in a classroom, scold someone if that person hasn't studied. Now I know that one small misstatement, not even a material misstatement, one small misstatement and my career can be ruined by an 18-year-old like this. Never again. Okay. And what alternative methods to assess the area of cleanliness could you have?
Like they could install a QR code and ask the user to directly, and the QR code integration should be directly with the head office
Okay.
instead of the restaurant.
One thing with respect to franchisees, can you think of this approach ki the head office conducts a surprise check?
Hmm.
Yes,
So there is objectivity, there is a surprise element involved, so they can't keep everything ready beforehand. But yes, there will be costs involved here. है ना?
There can also be a form filled for each day. So each part of the restaurant, each part of the business is being cleaned and the same has been ticked off. So हमारे ऑफिस में ऐसा मैंने देखा है कि in every washroom or every common area there is a form. It has this part has been cleaned at 12 p.m., 2 p.m., 4 p.m. They have to tick and put it in inside near the washrooms and near the common spaces.
And you can identify because they have rotational duties. If
Correct.
somebody says if it is not clean at 4 p.m. and you knew that uske baad XYZ person clean because they are, as you said, they are putting that tick mark. So naturally you will be the first one to identify कि इसका lapse हुआ है, right? Big Four speaking, है ना? You could then, as you said, you could have online or app based surveys. QR कोड के थ्रू हो सकता है या लिंक्स के थ्रू हो सकता है. Although people prefer QR codes these days over links, still there will be subjectivity, but at least feedback collection will be faster. ठीक है. The one way of knowing how well you are performing on the front is social media reviews, right?
Hmm.
Social media reviews, like I said, they can cause a lot of harm, but the thing is that on most occasions they are very, very unfiltered. They might end up telling you what the actual problem is. It's another thing that these social media reviews are very unkind. They don't use the right set of words, but that is not the problem that we are looking at ना. लोग क्या करेंगे? They will click a picture of the table. It's not clean. Post it on LinkedIn. LinkedIn नहीं. ये लिंक्डइन पे नहीं जाएगा. ये कहाँ जाएगा? इंस्टा पे
Instagram,
जाएगा. हाँ,
Facebook.
इंस्टा, फेसबुक, ऑल ऑफ दैट.
Also, we can start a campaign stating that if you find the area clean, or if you find cleanliness to it, you get some more vouchers to it, or some sort of incentive where people try to click and promote cleanliness. So for having that photo clean, we have to actually clean the place.
दैट्स वेरी वेरी इनोवेटिव, इन्वेंटिव, आई वुड से. गुड पॉइंट. डाल सकते हैं हम. So if you find something is right, click a picture, click a selfie and let us know, that kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then tag us and then you will get, yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
how
Correct.
the
Correct.
modern world works. But fair enough. Social media reviews might be the most scary place to get reviews about yourself. Now, you should know the problem before the world knows about the problem, right? So, yeah, that is there. ठीक है. अब चलो. ठीक है.
Yes.
इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी टू राइट द वर्ड हेलो इफेक्ट. वो तो मैं सोच समझ के लिखता हूँ. आई हैव ऑल द टाइम इन द वर्ल्ड. Under those intense exam conditions, you might not have, this might not click, but the content should be delivered.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ठीक है. See, me concluding is quite critical if you have seen most of the answers at the back. I think they do speak about the concluding part, है ना? So mention that. Don't leave that out.
Yes, sir.
तुमचं ऑफिस कुठे आहे पार्थ?
Lower Parel.
लोअर परेल. ओके. इंडिया बुल्सला नाही आहे ना? नाही.
नाही नाही.
ते कोणात होतं मे बी डेलॉइटचं इंडिया बुल्सला पहिल्या.
वन इंटरनॅशनल सेंटरला आहे. आता
ओके.
त्याचंच नाव इंडिया बुल्स होतं का ते माहित नाही. Yes.
Adil, where do you work?
आउटसोर्सिंग फॉर्म
ओके.
FFG करके है,
अच्छा.
फ्रेश फाइनेंशियल ग्रुप.
Yes, sir.
Can you scroll, sir?
Okay, I'll just be back in a moment, guys. ठीक है अब लास्ट पार्ट यू हैव टू इवैल्यूएट द ट्रांसफर प्राइसिंग प्रपोजल ठीक है इन 2005 the first Maddy franchisee restaurant established in a neighboring country was opened. The restaurant is geographically close to Maddy's warehouse, from where it distributes food items to its own restaurants and franchisees in its home country. Excuse me. Food items can now move freely between the two countries, and there are no tariffs or admin barriers for doing this. Maddy usually negotiates fixed prices with food suppliers for 1 year, so it is also able to fix the price it charges franchisees for food items. The franchisee in the neighboring country, while accepting that it must purchase all food items from Maddy, has asked that it be charged for these at the market price it would pay for the nearest equivalent product in its own country. The board has asked you to evaluate the franchisee's proposal. ठीक है अब बताओ evaluate the proposal. First of all, tell me the proposal before you evaluate. पहले बताओ कि proposal क्या है इनका.
Like instead of uh, franchisee, instead of buying from another supplier, should buy for the supplies from Maddy itself
Okay,
at the
and at what
price,
price?
at the at the lowest price which they would be willing to pay to the outsider.
Okay. And Parth, what do you think? What is the exact proposal?
So, as you mentioned, buying it not from a different supplier rather than buying it from Maddy itself, but at a price or at a market price which is equivalent in their home country.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
not specifically lowest price, but which is the prevalent price.
So what they are basically they want is use the lower local market price instead
Hmm.
of the current transfer price, right? What is the purpose? To reduce input cost and to be able to compete effectively in the home country. Because say if I am sourcing raw materials from a US based company at 100 rupees equivalent, whereas the same raw material is available in India for 40 rupees. Naturally, I'm put at a significant cost disadvantage as compared to other competitors. And what would that mean? That would also mean here I'll my prices would have to be sufficiently high to cover the cost. So if the prices are high, then naturally I have lost the race with my competitors, don't you think? So lower local market prices, of course, it helps you to compete. See, the Maddy brand is not widely recognized in the other country right now. So if you go with the current transfer pricing policy, okay, you go with the current transfer pricing policy and charge higher prices, the selling price would be higher. If the selling price is higher, then naturally the customers will get, I mean, customers have well-known local options with them. Now they don't need this brand. They already have their own, I mean, they already must be having their own favorites or whatever. So don't you agree that somewhere even that would become a serious point of consideration for you? Ki the items that you are selling, at least they should be competitive enough, and more so when at this particular point you are not that well known. है ना? So from an overall perspective, I think this puts the company in a significant advantageous position, that if you use the local market prices, it would enable you to compete better with the fast food chains in the country that are already running. ठीक है? And you would be able to tackle competition better. See, right now there is no evidence of any kind of, I mean, the details of competition are not given, but I mean, you know that if you continue to charge higher prices, then there will be issues. See, from a long term strategic benefit perspective, lower pricing improves the profitability of the franchisee. It basically gives you better chances of survival. है ना? It also aligns with your strategic objective of maximizing shareholder wealth. Because, see, if you continue to charge high prices, the brand, I mean, the Maddy brand will never get an opportunity to develop itself in that country, and naturally you will be put in a position of disadvantage. है ना? Okay. Now, these are some of the advantages, but the franchisee is claiming that some of these products are available at a cheap rate in the local market, right? Now, you don't know whether that is actually the situation. है ना? Also, it supplying something at a lower price might lead to further risks for the head office. So, this product comparability part that they have mentioned, you will have to evaluate that very carefully. There is also a possibility that the local market prices fluctuate. If they fluctuate, see, you don't know the political and economic situation in that country. If they continue to fluctuate, the I mean, the cash flow projections of the head office, those might get impacted. There is currency risk involved in this. क्या है forex risk कि see, naturally, you are transferring the product to another country. You will be subject to, I mean, the amounts that you receive will be subject to foreign exchange fluctuations. So again, it will put another pressure on your cash flow projections, right? Then see, it's not just the transfer price that is a challenge. Now, you have to also keep in mind that
Sure, I'll just be back in a minute.
yeah, yeah. The market price needs adjustment for transportation cost, for logistics, for administrative burden, for some sort of custom duties and tariffs. So वो एक part आपको evaluate करना पड़ेगा, right? Now, if you do that, if you make this kind of transfer pricing adjustment here, where you are using the local market prices for description, then don't you think there is a possibility that if you open franchisees later, they will also come to you uh, with a similar request, and that might make comparisons slightly more difficult in the future, है ना? So all of these issues, I would say, have to be considered when you are looking at the overall transfer pricing proposal. ठीक है? चलो, let's have a look at the answer. Please let me know when you want me to scroll up. Tell me when you want me to scroll.
Yes, sir. Okay, scroll, sir. Can you scroll?
Sorry, sir, got an office call.
No problem. इतने टाइम में एक ही कॉल आया, that is an achievement.
नाही डायरेक्ट पार्टनरचा होता सो पिकअप केला बाकी D&D वर ठेवलेलं.
I have forgotten that world. Every time I think about, oh, do I want to get back to consulting? No, never. So after you have read this, I'll show you something. Nothing related to APM.
Done, sir.
See? Okay. So that's a typical Section A question, technical marks, and see, getting all the points together in place, is enough to set you on the right track. When you are framing answers, try to ensure that you do some rough work before you plan the answer. Spend 5 6 minutes on that. Otherwise, then it gets very haphazard. Again and again, you have to keep on referring to the exhibit. तो वो अपने को नहीं चाहिए. ठीक है, so avoid that situation. And this was the first question that we did. We'll do more questions.